Dan Oman along with Ashley Mailloux taking a look at race number 8 at Santa Anita. It's the third of 3 graded stakes races at the Great Race Place on New Year's Eve. Let's take a look at the field for the Las Flores. These are fillies and mares going 3/4 of a mile, a 100 grander, and a grade 3. I think it's a pretty wide open race. The number 2 Samurai Charm is in very good form for Peter Miller, returning to California after a couple of stakes victories at Zia Park of all places.
And she rattled 2 back-to-back efforts, big Beyer speed figures of a 90 and more recently a 92. I think she was much the best in both of those efforts. But prior to that, hadn't shown too much at Santa Anita. Looking at some others in the field, I mean, there's some nice resumes in here from horses such as the 7 Lady T. I guess if you like her to run second, she's got the 6 runner-up finishes. But it's not a huge field, but I think it's kind of interesting in terms of handicapping, Tim.
And certainly interesting from a pace perspective as well, because we saw Samurai Charm up close to the pace in slow-paced races at Zia Park. Timeform US has her relatively close in here. And Violent Runner, a horse that's come from out of it, the horse that's come from on the one from on the lead, and a horse that's won from just off of the pace, is expected to get to the front. Personally, I think if Manarelli shows the speed that she has shown on dirt in the past, she's making the front.
I agree with you. I think Manarelli has a big say. I was a little curious about horse on the outside, the 8 Doris May, 1 and 2 for Carla Gaines, because the race 2 back, she went pretty quick at Santa Anita and was able to have a nice win there. But I thought the pace scenario could be interesting. Like I said, it's not a big field in here, but a couple of horses, they have shown speed in the past.
I think several of these riders are going to play the break and see what happens. Their mounts have a good amount of tactical speed and versatility. One horse that might be pace dependent is the number 1. That's Classical Romance, a big price on the morning line. Now, she was wired in a slow-paced stake last time out, the Angel's Flight going 7/8, and now she's cutting all the way back out to 6. She might be a little bit class compromised, and I think the distance could be sharp for her. She is hoping for a barbecue up front.
And it looks like, to me at least, they've been trying to find that distance for her in her last 3. It's been kind of that gradual cutback each and every start. It hasn't necessarily not worked out. She was able to win 2 starts back, but there was a nice pace for her to run at the mile distance. She does have a bit of a layoff. That's part of maybe the concern for her. And I do think you start to look down the page. I'm not sure she's quite at this level.
Samurai Charm, the number 2, is bet down to 7-2 in the grade 2 Zenyatta at Santa Anita 3 starts back. I think she found that company a bit too steep and the distance a bit too far, but Peter Miller regrouped and got a couple of nice confidence-building stakes wins at Zia. Let's watch her most recent race. This is the Zia Park Distaff, going 3/4 of a mile. The pace not exactly fast for this track. Color-coded blue, according to Timeform US, were the fractions, and Samurai Charm's just better than these horses at 1-5.
Glad you pointed out the pace, because you might look at the race on paper and say, wow, they weren't really quick. Not for Zia Park. Definitely something to point out. She ends up being the much best here with that 92 Beyer speed figure. I honestly don't know what to make out of her in terms of looking at her races at Santa Anita. They haven't been the greatest. Now her last 2, she's got huge numbers, maybe needed the confidence boost, and maybe she's starting to come around. She seemed like she started the year off okay. She got a little bit better. Then she didn't show up in the Zenyatta, and the class relief has certainly helped her. Flavien Prat set to ride, never a bad thing to see, but I don't know. I have a feeling the price could be very short on her.
It seemed a little bit unfocused in the stretch of that last race as well, flopping leads a couple of times while much the best. Lexington Humor, the number 3, is up next. This one has only raced once previously on dirt. It was a pace-setting performance back at Del Mar over the summer. She finished second in that first-level allowance race. Maybe they'll try to make the lead with Lexington Humor.
They might. I mean, you look at her turf races, not necessarily quick enough on the turf to keep up with that bunch. Maybe that's part of the reason to make the surface switch. And she does have that one good race that you pointed out. She trains like a fast horse over it. In the mornings, you can see some of her works. The outfit, kind of, one to look at here. Not their go-to rider, though, in terms of success at Santa Anita. They do well in other parts of California. I just wasn't sure. That barn, to me, is one that you always have to watch it and look at, and it looks like maybe this is just an idea of theirs to get this one involved early and see what she can do.
Another horse moving from turf to dirt is the 4 Manarelli, who might have been using that last race, a 5/8 of a mile first level allowance, as a bit of a tightener for this. It was her turf debut. She hadn't run in a long time, and she ran quite well to be second. Let's go back to her most recent dirt race. This is back in the spring in the Sunland Park Oaks. She set a blazing pace. She's got a clear lead into the stretch, but she is looking for the wire right now.
Yeah, she's definitely looking leg weary there. I mean, I know she runs a good race here, but they start to catch her in the end. That was going a mile and a 16th, so you have to think the cutback's going to help her today. And I agree with you. The turf race last time out, probably a bit of a tightener. Obviously, they went pretty quick there. She didn't, make the lead, and I think that was kind of good for her because we can see some of her better performances have been when she's on the lead. But she outran her odds, and she did finish second in there.
The 5 Anacapa comes off a breakthrough performance going a 2-turn mile at Del Mar. We're going to showcase that effort right now. It's a first level allowance race, and Flavien Prat got Anacapa on the lead. She took a little bit of pressure, but she really strides away as much the best. I wonder if this filly is finally figuring the game out.
Some of her races prior to this, they weren't, horrible, and she had a good effort 2 starts back. But I think you're right. I think it's kind of the light bulb has turned on, and she's putting it all together. That race was at a mile, so looking at this race, she is going to cut back and lose a quarter of a mile. But I don't think it's a bad thing for her. She did have the lead last time out. I think this might set up nicely for her. If there is some pace for her early on, and she's just off of it, she might be able to make that late run that she'll need.
Tough to knock the 6 Violent Runner, a perfect 4 for 4 on dirt. This reformed claimer, as we mentioned, has shown the versatility to lead or rate. She just sat last time out. She was entered for the $40,000 tag at Del Mar, and she sits right off for the leaders, and she's very game to win on the outside. Now, she's going to have to prove herself against tougher competition, but maybe this is just the right spot. Not really a lot of true graded stakes horses in this field. Violent Runner still has a bit of upside, I believe.
I think it's a good spot to kind of test the class that she has. I don't think it, like you said, it is a super deep graded stakes event. It's a nice kind of next step for her. The one thing I'll say in that race, you saw her in the stretch run. You see the jock had to kind of look to see if she was clear, and the horse was just waiting to see what the rider wanted to do. And then she did stride home pretty nice in there. It was her career best in terms of a figure, and she wasn't well respected. You look at her race before that, she goes off favored 2 races in a row, and then she was a nice price that day. So I don't think we're going to get that price come post time on Saturday.
John Sheriff's Victor Espinoza going to try to cure the seconditis you mentioned of the 7 Lady T, a 6-time second from 10 lifetime starts, including her most recent race where she was beaten by Violent Runner at Del Mar. She's run some nice races on the dirt. Her Summertime Oaks, I thought 4 starts back going 2 turns was a really good performance where she loomed boldly at the 3/16. And a nice filly and Under the Stars turned her back. I was very surprised they tried turf, however, after that. And last time out, they did cut her back. She ran well. I have concerns that maybe she wants to go a little bit longer, but I also think on her best race, she fits with these horses.
I think at her best race, she can win at 3/4. You look down the page. I mean, she did have that pretty good effort, the one before she broke her maiden in kind of dazzling style. She just missed. I don't love that she gave up the lead, but there was another horse closing a bit faster than her, and she couldn't hold on. Last time out, good effort. I'd like that she was able to sit off the pace and make a late run to only miss by a nose behind 2. Violent Runner, who we said has been pretty tough. The seconditis is always a concern, but knowing that she can come from off of it or she can be close to it, if anything happens, you're only going 3/4. So if she gets in any trouble early on, at least she's been able to kind of show that she can change her tactics.
And completing the field is the 8 Doris May, who seeks the hat trick for Carla Gaines, who's returned off of a lengthy layoff to graduate against Calbreds on the dirt at Santa Anita, then rated successfully, as you mentioned, last time out on the turf. So she's shown that versatility. And in her dirt race, the filly she beat came back to win with a 78 Beyer speed figure. So it looks like Doris May has a little bit of ability. And from this outside post, it gives Hernandez several options.
It does give him several options if he wants to try to rush out of there and see how involved she wants to be early. That's an option he can take back. It is interesting, though, to see her against the stablemate in here, the other Carla Gaines horse as well. I'm not sure if she can hang with this caliber, but she does have the pace and the speed early on to make the race interesting.
Interesting field, as you mentioned, in the Grade 3 Las Flores. Horses trying to figure out if they truly are stakes or graded stakes caliber. We'll take a look at our top selections for race number 8 at Santa Anita on New Year's Eve. Anacapa looked good, winning around 2 turns last time out, and she does have tactical speed. I expect her to be in the mix when they start the real running.
I'd be afraid to have a horse that's going to be really far off, or one that could be duking it out on the front end. So I thought she might get the trip in here. The question will be, to me, the cutback for her. I mean, I thought last time out she was able to go to the front. I still think she'll be in a good spot, but I thought this field, there are probably 3 or 4 horses that you could maybe endorse on the top spot, and ultimately I went with this one.
We both respect Samurai Charm, but I'm not sure she has such an edge over this field that I want to take a short price. Lady T maybe will break her streak of being the bridesmaid. I think that the pace will be solid to fast in here. I'm expecting a late run. Maybe she'll get up late. 52764. Ashley 7253 for me in the Grade 3 Las Flores, the Great Race Place Santa Anita. Good luck.